Her pretty face I adore. It makes me yearn for more, like meat to a carnivore.
There's some Hannibal Lecter bars, dude. Hello friends and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily Reddit content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact, and it's totally science. Go ahead and look it up. Today we're jumping into r/NeckbeardStories. Both of these Neckbeard stories actually came from my personal subreddit r/ReddXReads, but you know, we'll split the difference. They are Neckbeard stories of the truest kind. We have one that follows up the events of the Wetbeard Neckbeard story. That's a tongue twister. Wetbeard Neckbeard. I put that link in the description if you guys want to go check out the first part. It also references the other story that's in there. I don't know, might be interesting. And then we've also got Dragonbeard, which ends up being a Neckbeard tale of redemption, which is rare to see, but it does my heart well. Perhaps this channel is having some sort of effect after all. Anyways, we'll get some plugs and disclaimers out of the way, and then we will jump headfirst into some Neckbeard cringe. Neckbeard versus my mother. Oh snap, showdown of the century. So it's Brit-Brat again with another story about Wetbeard. Now, I didn't get the story on what happened between him and Cake, but I have plenty of other stories from before the hose incident and a couple after. Remember, I said he mostly left me alone, not completely. Also, Raven says hi, he loves the video, and now he wants me to type out the story of the kid who he beat up, because he swears that kid was a neckbeard. Well, that's one way to get him turned around, I guess. But moving on, I did touch briefly on my mother in the last story, but I didn't really get into how adversarial of a relationship Wetbeard actually had with my mom. I will of course call her Mom, but for the purpose of other adults dressing her, her fake name will be Orchid, because it's her favorite flower. My mother had always been aware of him making me uncomfortable, so she would just constantly run interference and try to get me out of uncomfortable situations involving Wetbeard. I'm glad she's aware. A lot of moms are just like, oh yeah, it's whatever. So good on her already. She also just was uninterested in dealing with his shit. She already had to deal with my social anxiety, Raven's jackassery, and whatever shenanigans that Cake and Pie added into the mix when they came over, so I doubt she wanted to deal with Wetbeard shit on top of all that. Wetbeard, on the other hand, was convinced that my mother had been influenced by Raven to hate him. Oh, it's always somebody else's fault, isn't it? This made no sense because her banning him from our house happened before Raven was old enough to even have the language skills to manipulate anyone. But to Wetbeard, all of his obstacles, as far as him and I were concerned, were all somehow Raven's fault. Mom, Raven, and I were on our front porch when Wetbeard asked
if he could come over and play video games.
Once again, she said no, and went inside. When Wetbeard thought my mother couldn't hear him, he turned to me and said,
Brit-Brat, I like you, but your mom's a bitch.
Well, turns out Wetbeard was unaware of the superhuman hearing that mothers have. Facts. Because just then, I heard a loud, booming, "The fuck you say, little boy?" Bring the pain. I remember the blood drained from my face, and Raven told me it felt like his soul left his body. When my mother came out, Raven immediately went into panic mode and was like, "Mom, it wasn't me, it was you, I know I never called you that, I love you." She already knew this because she immediately yanked up Wetbeard and marched him home. I'm not sure what happened when they got there, as Raven and I stayed back, but we did not see him or hear from him for 2 weeks after that. Another time, he showed up at my house with some flowers for me that looked terrifyingly familiar. Are they orchids, perhaps? I looked to my left, and it was my turn to have my soul leave my body, because I saw that Wetbeard had completely annihilated my mother's flower bed. What an idiot, dude. If you're gonna steal flowers, don't steal them from right in front of the house. Oh, God. Now, my mother is a plant freak, and she takes her garden and her flowers very seriously. So this led to one of the only times that I screamed at Wetbeard. OP, what the hell is wrong with you? Wetbeard,
I thought you'd like them more because they came from somewhere special.
what? OP, are you trying to die? Just then, Cake came over. Cake, Brit, Auntie wants to know why you're... Wait, are those Auntie's flowers? Wetbeard,
Yeah, I picked them myself.
Cake, you did. Auntie, Fatso picked your flowers. Mom, what? It was then that Wetbeard realized that he was indeed in some deep shit, and he attempted to run away, but as demonstrated in the last post, this was not his strong suit. So my mom easily caught him, yanked him up yet again, and marched him home. Wetbeard's parents gave my mother money for the damage, made Wetbeard write an apology, and pay them back, which meant no pocket money for him for quite a while. Mom never did replant the flowers. Instead, she used the money to create an indoor jungle, safe from sticky fingers. And me, well, even though my mother assured me that she didn't blame me, I felt terrible that Wetbeard had destroyed her pride and joy, in essence, for me. So I saved up my pocket money, gave it to my aunt, and asked her to get a really expensive orchid for my mother. My mother did love the orchid, but she gave me the money back because she reiterated that it was not my fault. Now, the final story for today is what Raven has dubbed Pencilgate. See, I'm an artist, so for my final year of middle school, my mom wanted to give me a treat for winning a scholarship to go to a boarding high school for free. And this is how I spent 4 blissful years, mostly Wetbeard free. Oh, there's that mostly again. So she got me the 150-piece Prismacolor Premier colored pencil set. Now, these colored pencils are expensive. So at first, I didn't want them to leave my house until I left for boarding school the next year. But I did want to show my art teacher. Uh-oh. So I brought them to school with me, and by the end of the day, they had all gone missing. Now, I was distraught because my mother had spent at least $100 on the colored pencils, but my mother was more concerned as to how a huge set of colored pencils just disappeared out of my backpack. 2 days later, one of my other classmates admitted to seeing Wetbeard stealing them, of course. After informing the high school, he got in-school suspension for that, Mom drove me from the school to his house so we could retrieve those pencils. His mother opened the door. Wetbeard's mother,
Hi, Orchid. Hi, Brat. What brings you here?
Mom, so Wetbeard's mother, apparently your son stole my daughter's colored pencils. Now these are expensive, premium colored pencils, so we'd really like them back. Wetbeard's mother,
I knew the school was too cheap to give him fancy colored pencils.
Wetbeard's mom invited us to sit in their living room. Now, here's the thing that I do not understand. How in the hell was it Wetbeard that lived here? Their house was spotless, and Wetbeard's parents were pleasantly normal, despite ReddX accidentally giving the mother the Legbeard voice. Whoops, but we gotta stick with it now. Wetbeard's mother called Wetbeard down, and he looked thrilled to see me finally in his house, and then the color left his face when he noticed that my mother was there too. Wetbeard's mother,
Wetbeard, did you steal those new colored pencils? Tell me the truth.
Wetbeard,
Yeah.
Wetbeard's mother,
Why?
Wetbeard,
Because the colored pencils hold the passion that Brit has for her art. And since she won't date me, I need that passion.
That's the lamest excuse ever. He's gonna perform a warlock mate bond ritual with them. Oh boy. I thought he was gonna like seal him and then try and play the hero, like, oh look, I found him. But no, he was just gonna keep him. Wetbeard's mother looked horrified. Mom looked disgusted, and Wetbeard had a look on his face that exhibited he might have realized that he should really think before he speaks. I instantly felt nauseous, and I said, Mom, can I wait in the car? Mom, yeah, sweetie, you go wait in the car. About 10 minutes later, Mom came out to the car, but instead of the colored pencils, she had $175. Bruh. I hope those colored pencils weren't too sentimental. I mean, I guess I would rather have the $175. You could buy some new colored pencils plus some. That's nice. Wetbeard's mother was right behind my mom with a trash bag, and Wetbeard was wailing from the porch. Instead of going home, we drove straight to the art supply store, replaced the colored pencils, and got some more goodies with the leftover money. Yayo! Mom explained to me that Wetbeard had broken the majority of the original colored pencils. Jesus, what a wacko. Why? He's trying to extract the passion from the pencils? And the trash bag that his mother had contained the remains of said pencils. Wetbeard had been wailing because
he still wanted to keep them.
For God knows what reason, but Wetbeard's mother had shut that down. Wetbeard's mother also apologized and gave my mom the money to replace the pencils. I asked my mother how he broke the pencils, and she refused to tell me. To this day, over a decade later, she still refuses to tell me, so it's probably in my best interest to never find out. Whoa, now I'm going to be wondering about that like all week. What could have been so horrible? Oh man. The next day after school, Wetbeard's father marched him to my house and made him give me a groveling apology. It almost didn't happen because as soon as I noticed who was at the door, I made my mom answer it. After assuring me that Wetbeard's father was there and he wouldn't do anything bad, I joined my mom at the door. And the apology went like this. Wetbeard's father:
What do you want to say, Wetbeard?
Wetbeard:
I'm sorry.
Wetbeard's father:
For what?
Wetbeard:
For stealing from Brat.
Wetbeard's father:
Because?
Wetbeard:
Stealing is wrong, and your mom didn't spend her hard-earned money for me to break your things.
Wetbeard's father:
And?
Wetbeard:
Dad, that's embarrassing.
Wetbeard's father:
I'm going to embarrass you worse if you don't finish.
Arnie's a real dad. Wetbeard:
Just because Brat doesn't want to date me doesn't give me the right to steal her stuff for my own sick amusement.
What the hell? Side note, I'm really glad Wetbeard's father didn't make him elaborate on the sick amusement part. Oh God, dude. Was he sounding with those colored pencils? Wetbeard's father:
Good. Orchid, you have my number. If he causes you any more shit, you call me. Not my wife. You call me.
Wetbeard never stole from me again. He still continued to be a pain in my ass in many other ways, some of which necessitated us utilizing the dreaded daddy phone number, but I needn't worry about theft from him, at least, ever again. As for my mom, she continued to be her normal plant-obsessed self. I showed her ReddX's wife's gardening vlog, and it made her happy. Aw, thank you so much for that. That garden has been providing every single day. I know a hell of a lot of work went into it, but we're also getting a lot of food back out of it, so hats off to wifey. She's definitely amazing with the green thumbs. Well, that's basically it. I just wanted to share a good mom story after listening to the one that ReddX read after mine. All I could think of while listening was how my mother would have opened up a can of whoop-ass on that creep. Was that the one from Caustic Fox? I think it was. But yeah, moms is usually the softer ones, ain't they? Daddy's the one who ain't scared to put the hammer down. And honestly, if she had approached the father when Wetbeard either stole the flowers or was talking crap about mom, then Pencilgate probably never would have been an issue. But I do understand that mommy did her best too. It just wasn't enough to deter Wetbeard. Father really knows how to get into his soul. He's like, okay, we're gonna go embarrass you in front of the girl you like. That'll get the message through to him. I am super curious about the sick amusement part of Pencilgate, but I mentioned sounding. That's about the worst thing that I could imagine. If it's anything less than that, then that's fine, you know? Or not fine, but I think I could handle it. How's a teenage boy gonna know about sounding anyways? Then again, I guess we have the internet. It is a big, wide, sad, sick world that we live in, so I guess I can't put anything past anyone these days. If you don't know what sounding is, don't look it up. Preserve your innocence. I beg of you. I didn't know what it was until a couple months ago, and then I just kind of stumbled into the conversation, and now I'm a bit more ruined than I was before. Oh, Lord. So we opened it up with a beard who seemingly never found redemption, but now we're going to get into Dragonbeard and see how a Neckbeard did manage to redeem himself. I quite look forward to that. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. Dragonbeard, a tale of Neckbeard redemption. Yes, please. We don't get enough of these. I've been watching ReddX's beard stories recently, and it inspired me to make a Reddit account and share my tale. Hey, I like that username too. Dragonbeard Storytime. Username checks out. This is the story of someone I went through middle school and high school with. Our story mainly takes place over the course of 6 years, but it does include events from when we started middle school in 2012 to the present day. I'll call our Neckbeard Dragonbeard, or DB, because of his obsession with Dragon Ball Z. Unlike most Neckbeard stories, this one does have a happy ending, with Dragonbeard changing his ways at the end of it all. But before I talk about the highs, we have to first discuss the lows. That's how it goes. I first met Dragonbeard in 7th grade when he moved to my city. He got put in several of my classes, and our last names are close alphabetically, so I ended up sitting next to, or at least near him, a lot of the time. When I first met Dragonbeard, he seemed pretty normal, although maybe a little bit weird. He was short and chubby with thick glasses, a greasy face that was covered in acne, and thick, untrimmed hair. When we first met, he seemed pretty normal, but over time, the beardery began to appear. Perhaps the best way to proceed is just to list some of the things that Dragonbeard did. True to his name, Dragonbeard would walk around while constantly watching Dragon Ball Z on his tablet. He tried to talk about Dragon Ball Z constantly. Dragonbeard was black and considered himself very good at basketball for the sole reason that he was black. Oh, that tickles me. At the time, he was about 5 foot, fat, and had like 0 athletic ability. Oh, bro. It quickly became clear that one of Dragonbeard's favorite pastimes was trashing people's taste in, well, anything, but especially video games and anime. If you mentioned a game or an anime that he didn't like, he would go on a rant about
how low quality it was.
Yes, this guy's definitely the arbiter of quality. Dragonbeard considered himself
very intelligent, euphoric in fact.
And he would lecture people on topics that he knew nothing about. Oh, beardy. Some of his favorites were politics, astrophysics, and economics. Dragonbeard loved Jackie Chan movies and considered himself a talented martial artist. He would sometimes perform kung fu style moves in the cafeteria. God. That brings the memories rushing back, man. I knew a few kids like this. Whoo! Dragonbeard was both a communist and a fascist, which made no sense at all. When I tried to press him on the issue, he wasn't able to describe what communism or fascism actually was. I mean, it kind of does make sense because communism doesn't really work off of paper. It generally turns into fascism in order to enforce the communism. We're not going to get into that. That's fine. Labeling yourself with either of those things is a massive red flag in my book. Dragonbeard loved Lonely Island, and he listened to them unironically. His favorites were Jizz in My Pants and I Just Had Sex. I know like all the Lonely Island songs, but totally ironically though. Don't peg me with that. With that out of the way, let's get into the core of the beardery. Around grade 9, Dragonbeard started writing fan fictions about his favorite animes. He posted them online, and I actually read a few of them. Unlike a lot of Neckbeard fan fictions, the grammar and spelling were perfectly fine, but everything else about them was awful. I can't comment on how canon they were since I'd never seen any of the anime, but from what I'd heard, Dragonbeard had taken the plots of the animes and inflicted his own strange fantasies on them. I don't remember the characters' names, but Dragonbeard had taken 2 Dragon Ball Z characters and created a softcore erotic story about them. Written by a 9th grader, bro. Oh, classic. There was no actual sex scene, because written by a 9th grader, but the undertones of eroticism were not very subtle. Some of his other works were full of bad self-inserts, including one very notable example. Dragonbeard's proudest achievement was a parody of Batman, where Batman was black. I'm Black Man. What did he call his greatest achievement? He called it Black Man. I swear I didn't read ahead. It's just so easy. You set him up, I gotta knock him down. Black Man is the darkest night. Oh, God. In Dragonbeard's parody, the main character wasn't named Bruce Wayne. He was named Tyrone Williams. Which Dragonbeard said was
the blackest name I could think of.
Oh, God, dude. Dragonbeard basically just rewrote Batman plots. The only difference was that Batman was black and his real name was Tyrone. That was it. Oh, this is so beautiful. One day someone found Dragonbeard's writings, and the word quickly spread around the school. Dragonbeard deleted them, but not before everyone knew. I read some of his attempts at erotica, and they were very entertaining, but for all the wrong reasons. I also read some of the tales of Tyrone, but they weren't nearly as good. They were just boring, and relied entirely on plagiarized Batman plots. Nothing significant happened the rest of that year, but the following year, the beardery did indeed come to a climax. In 10th grade, Dragonbeard developed a crush, or maybe I should say an obsession, with a girl named Tanya. To this day, I'm still not sure what he saw in her, but that's besides the point. Dragonbeard confessed his love to Tanya, and she, of course, outright rejected him. He then began to simp hard for her, bringing her flowers and chocolates just to make her like him. It did not work. Dragonbeard then began to badger her to date or at least have sex with him. It got to the point where she had blocked him on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and she had blocked his phone number. God. Dragonbeard then bought a second phone with a brand new phone number to keep on harassing her. Bro, this is not okay. Just take a hint, my dude. Walk away with some dignity intact. It only got cringier, though. After this all happened, Dragonbeard took to writing love poems to Tanya. And posting them online. He never mentioned her by name in the poem, but if you knew the people involved, it was very obvious who it was about. Someone found the poems, and within an hour, again, everyone in the school knew. Dragonbeard once again promptly deleted them, but not before everyone saw. I don't think anyone still has copies of them, so I can't share the whole thing, but one line is stuck in my head all these years later.
Her pretty face I adore. It makes me yearn for more, like meat to a carnivore.
There's some Hannibal Lecter bars, dude. Sounds like he wants to eat her face. Oh my god. People naturally tease Dragonbeard constantly for this, but it died away pretty quickly because everyone just found something else to do, as children do. A few days later, Dragonbeard confessed his love for Tanya once again, and she went on a 5-minute long angry tirade in the middle of the cafeteria at him. What did Dragonbeard do? Did he accept her rejection and move on? No, that would be too normal. Dragonbeard threatened to kill her and rape her corpse. Oh my god. Can't even laugh at that, man. There's a line in the sand and it's just stepped right over it. Didn't you see the line? Look, the line is right there. Go back to the other side of the line. Tanya reported this to the school, of course, and naturally it became a whole big thing. The principal, a real hard case named Mr. Robinson, invited me into his office to have a chat about Dragonbeard. Mr. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me. Chat really meant more like interrogation, but I digress. I told Mr. Robinson that Dragonbeard was basically just an edgy neckbeard. Those aren't the words that I actually used, but you get the point. There was apparently a meeting with Dragonbeard, Mr. Robinson, Dragonbeard's mom, Tanya's mom, and I think the school counselor was there too. I wasn't there, obviously, but from what I heard, it wasn't much of a meeting, as it was 30 minutes of Dragonbeard's mom and Tanya's mom both berating Dragonbeard, with Mr. Robinson occasionally joining in to berate him as well. If you're familiar with black mothers, I'm sure you can imagine how this went. Now combine that with the anger of a tyrannical principal, and I'm sure this all would have been a truly harrowing experience. Ultimately, Dragonbeard was suspended, and that seemed to be the end of the matter. The summer going into 12th grade, something happened. I'm still not sure what it was, but when 12th grade started, Dragonbeard wouldn't talk or interact with anyone. He just walked around with his headphones on, watching Dragon Ball Z. He had always done this, but now it was all he did. I didn't have any classes with Dragonbeard that year. He and I didn't really see each other. As annoying as I thought he was, I did feel sad in a way that he didn't talk to me anymore. Nothing interesting happened the rest of that year. In June we had graduation, but I didn't see Dragonbeard there. I'm not sure if he didn't graduate or just didn't show up to graduation. After high school, I joined the army because I wanted to leave the city that I grew up in and make something in my life. I was stationed in Southeast Asia, not the Philippines, otherwise I'd come say hi to ReddX. And I thought that I'd never hear from Dragonbeard again. I was wrong though. Hey, for real though, OP, if you ever end up near Subic Bay, holler at your boy. About a month ago, I received a friend request on Snapchat from someone with Dragonbeard's last name, but a different first name. He has a very common last name, so I didn't immediately make the connection, but sure enough, it was Dragonbeard. Nearly 3 years later, he decided to reach out to me again. Isn't social media wonderful? Dragonbeard told me that he'd grown up a lot since high school, and that he wanted to leave that part of his life behind. That's why he started going by his middle name and made a new Snapchat account. He said that he still lived with his mom and that he just drifted with dead-end jobs for 3 years. He asked me how I was doing, and I told him I'd joined the army and became an electrician. He told me that his mom had recommended that he could join the army to get him into shape and teach him some discipline, help him get a career, and Dragonbeard said that he was strongly considering doing it. He asked me what I thought, and I told him. Being in the army has its ups and downs, to be sure, but overall, I do think enlisting has changed my life for the better. Last I heard, Dragonbeard was talking to a recruiter, and he said he wants to be an electrician, just like me. It's a good way to get up and out. He's seeing the light at the end of the tunnel now. Despite everything, I truly do wish Dragonbeard the best. He's acknowledged his mistakes, and he's doing his best to change the path that his life is taking, which is far better than most neckbeards can say. He sent some pictures of himself now, and he's no longer the shaggy, greasy little butterball that I knew in high school. He got a haircut, shaved his beard, his acne cleared up, and he started going to the gym, so he's in pretty good shape now. With the path that he's on, I have no doubt that Dragonbeard will be an excellent soldier, and that he'll end up making something of his life after all. And for that, I'm proud of him. Thanks for reading my story. Just goes to show that there can be redemption for even the foulest of beards. I've said it many times, and I will say it once more. None of us were our best selves in high school. I'm definitely glad to see this guy getting turned around. Like, part of me wants to say talk is cheap, you know? Let me know about joining up once you sign the papers, but at least even thinking about it is a very, very good sign that he's acknowledging his mistakes and trying to turn his life in a new direction. So definitely, I highly encourage that. I think it's a little strange that he wants to have OP's job and be an electrician too. Let the ASVAB tell you what you're most inclined to do, okay? I mean, I killed it on my ASVAB, and then I went down to MEPS and they're like, oh yeah, you're colorblind, pick from these 3 jobs. Like, oh shit, man. That is unfortunate. But yeah, I do think high school years are like some of the most awkward years in our lives. You know, everybody's just trying to angle themselves towards what they want to be and get it all figured out. And guess what? By the time you're out of high school, you're not even close to figuring it out. That's why I joined up in the Navy. I needed about 4 more years to see what I actually wanted to do. Even when I got out, I worked a desk job that completely sucked for 4 more years on top of that. And then I realized that my whole life was slipping away and I needed to chase a dream. So I started doing stand-up comedy. Then I started doing YouTube, a little bit of video editing on the side. And hey, look at me now. Not exactly making the big bucks yet, but keeping the bills paid, keeping the lights on, which is honestly more than I ever could have hoped when I started all this. Must have been like 8 years ago. God damn. Whew. Don't let life pass you by, all right? Watching Dragon Ball Z on a tablet is cool. Writing fanfics is nice and stuff, but angle yourself towards success. You can do whatever you want to do with your life. And that's not just a platitude. I do truly mean it. It takes a lot of work, but you can definitely get there if you push hard enough. So be like Dragonbeard. No, don't be like Dragonbeard. Be like OP instead. But if you are in Dragonbeard's shoes, then yeah, aim to get yourself out of it in any way possible, because there is always a chance for redemption. I don't know if you've ever paused and read the disclaimer screen, but that is exactly what it says there. I'm a big fan of second chances, and third and fourth and fifth chances. You know what I'm also a big fan of? Liking, commenting, and or subscribing on this video if you did enjoy it. Yeah! Maybe share it around if you'd like to. Know somebody that needs a laugh? Hey, shoot them this video link. I appreciate that. Check out the links in the description, Amazon affiliate, Teespring, Wifey's channel, my personal subreddit, social medias, oh, and Patreon, of course. You're seeing some names on the screen. Those are my gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, generous patrons, and I'd like to thank them all, but specifically ZeroMMX, Lady Nix, Robert Waits, Pope Squid, Rebecca H, Cider Drinker, Tato Fair, The Last Shinobi, Mark 211, Michael Undead, Aaron W, Mitch, John Hero, Candy Sora, DigiNZ, Fire Drake, Little Lone Wolf, Miss Monday, Silent Revolver, JM Coon, Leon Embers, TSM Kirby, Redwind, Synaptic Boomstick, Jerry, and Staples Yeet! Definitely appreciate you guys helping out the channel. I don't think this one will get demonetized, but you never do know. And if it does, it's really nice to be able to lean back on my patrons. If you can join them in supporting, I would be massively appreciative of that. Thank you so very much in advance. But if you can't, don't sweat it too hard, friends. I just appreciate you coming on through, hanging out with me, and I hope you come on back and hang out with me again tomorrow, because really the views is how my beard stays so very buttery. In order to do so, you need to keep yourself safe out there, wash your hands, super important, but also take some time out and do something that you personally enjoy today. Maybe watching some more ReddX videos. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely deserve it. I will see you in the next one. And until then, bye-bye.